if you've ever thought of running Madness, I just thought I'd come on here on YouTube and start things up a little bit, make a little bit of a guide to help you all out. Being the obviously excellent runner that I am, I'm here to share the techniques and tips and tricks with the world, so I can cease to be the only active runner of this game. That would be really nice. I'd like to see one person submit something so I can actually hold a record that means at least something. Like, I don't know, that would just be nice, or at least have some, like, competition or something, I think that would spice things up a little bit, make it so maybe things would be a little more active in the future. But let's jump right into it. The topic for this, I'm gonna just do like a pretty much a slow 100% playthrough explaining everything, and why some things are the way they are, and why I do some things a certain way, and maybe I'll be doing some theory crafting and talking about new things that I've been thinking about doing, because I think that's important too. And I'd like to see a discussion, like if you think something could be improved, or if you see like a faultiness in some logic or something, feel free to point it out and let me know, and like keep the discussion rolling, because I'd like to know how to get things as fast as possible. We're all runners here. We know what's up. So just starting off, opening cutscene, like always. So I suppose while this is going on, I could begin to explain something. So the gist of this game is that it's like a turn-based strategy RPG, where it's like you play as a party of 4, each with their own individual strengths and all that. So like everybody has their HP and their AP and their class. So let's talk about that for a little bit. So CQBs are particularly good with pistols and melee. So they're the ones that are always going to start at the forefront of a fight. Position like one on the furthest point in each side. Like so let me actually bust out my new presentation software that I got for this. So so you got a CQB here and a CQB here, right? Well, and this is your assault and this is your heavy. Yeah, that's great. But what we want to know is how does this apply to combat situations? Because that's what you do in this game. You fight with stuff that does damage, and you do actions. So let's do like a little demo fight. Just to show how this stuff works. Oh yeah, these are lockers. You open these, you take what's inside them, because they give you valuable items and equipment. Every character has a main weapon and a sub-weapon. This is important. You usually want to keep these as versatile as you can, just to be able to cover each and every combat situation that we'll get into. But right here in speedrun, you don't menu just yet, because there's not a need to. But so here, look. So our CQBs are pistol melee guys. So they are always in the front, this front line. The heavy and the assault are good at their own things. So the assault here is good with pistols and SMGs. And SMGs are the first kind of long-range weapon that you encounter in this game. So he is easily the most powerful early game unit. Or well, like he's on about the same. Like nobody is like too imbalanced, because they all have their own uses. But he's a very, very critical part of the early game, because of SMGs. SMGs are the first long-range weapons that you get in this game. and being able to stay at a really long range while using minimal points is pretty critical, because you can see these guys are there's like a distance. There's like 1, 2, 3 horizontal units between us, which costs 3 AP to move. And as you can see, it costs like here. If he wants to get in and use one of these knives, it because he's a CQB, it only costs 1 AP. So actually the strategy here is to move in close, and because it takes less time to play this one animation and move than to play 2 animations and move, we just do this just to get it done quick. And because these guys are further away and it would take more time to be able to do that, we just have him move up 1, spend that 1 action point, and he has enough to just take these 2 guys down in 2 shots, because they have 3 health each, which is important to note. Enemies have their own health and armor values that are very important, in class values that allows them to do their own sort of things. But I'll get into that as it becomes applicable. I'll just know that these guys have no armor, so you don't got to worry about that yet, and 3 health. So this seems easy enough, right? Like, basically you just move into range and you do your thing. You take them out in the most effective ways. Like the heavy, I gotta finish explaining the classes, because alright, he may not seem that useful at first, because the first time you get a shotgun, which is, you find a shotgun before you find a rifle. It's a while before you find your first rifle. The first shotgun that you find is actually right here. I think I'm pretty sure it's right here. Yeah. And that's where you start seeing the use of this unit. He's very helpful in taking out large groups, and in the mid game, piercing armor because of the AUG that you get early on. But I'll get into that later. Armor. But just know for now that all of your guys are wearing like these health items, just by default. The CQBs specifically get a bit more health, because they're the ones up front doing the dirty work, and the heavies, or the heavy and the assault, because they're in the back, start off with a bit less. So we're going to talk about routing here and the value of items and everything. So in this first stretch here that we do in 100%, there's a specific route that we take. We go up here, and we specifically don't go this way because there's no way that we can go further than this way, and there's nothing of value in this room. You're just basically fighting a fight. But this room contains some of the most critical items. So this is where we do our first menu. So every in the main weapon and sub-weapon menus are the same. They just let you replace your primary or secondary weapon depending on what you currently have in each slot. Doing this changes the slot, so this is now your main, this is now your sub, whichever one you're not using is your sub, and how that's set up becomes important later. Like right when you get out of battles, you like to have your weapons set up a certain way so you can make the menus as fast as possible. So in this case, usually you're going to have your stuff set up like this once you get to this locker. You open it up, you press that take all button, you have all that loot now. So CQBs are really important in the early game because of their ability to use these pistols a lot. They have a far range, which means you have to travel less in order to be able to take down your target, which is really important. Moving takes a lot of AP, and usually the more shots you can take, the better, because that's the more chances of damage you have. So the early rooms have some strategies that rely on melee, but that's only because the enemies are very weak, and there are specific properties to melee that I'll get into later that are helpful. Actually, I'll just say this right now. Melee, this tip says down right here, melee attacks are 2 times more likely to penetrate armor, which is super important later. I will talk about armor when we first see it, but yeah. So this first menu entails us equipping this as a sub-weapon, putting on new headgear for the CQB to get him as much points as possible, like action points, so he can move as far as he can with this knife that does a lot of damage, and just get him to do that sort of thing, because that's what he is early on. Because melee is so cheap and effective early on, we get him moving as far as possible to be able to just wreak havoc pretty much. CQB, because he's up and in the action all the time, just give him the armor. See, okay, now this is where this starts to become relevant. So armor is basically, you see here, armor class 3, 25% block. So that's actually huge. Depending on how much armor you have, your armor class increases. So I think armor class 1 is like 7 or 8%. I'm pretty sure it's like 8% block. Armor class 2 is 17% block, and armor class 3 is 25% block, going up all the way to armor class 8, which is 67% block, which is absolutely insane. Just like impossible feeling to hit. Like it's this. So this is important because he's going to be in the action. Preventing damage would be nice, even if it's just a random roll. It's just handy dandy because it makes your guys die less. And the assault, because he has low health, just gets a little health item. Heavy doesn't have any armor that we can equip to him yet, but we'll get that later as time goes on. So after getting this, here we only have this little area complete, but we're trying to get all the way over here, which is where we're going to find our first checkpoint, keycard 1. Alright, so this room is actually important, going back down into this room, because there is, I believe, a 50% chance that you get the same encounter you got earlier when coming down this elevator, which could be potentially a run killer, if you're just going really fast, if you're trying to perfect your run as much as possible. Getting an extra encounter here really sucks, but we got lucky and we didn't get the encounter. And so this is the first time when a little wall tip appears and helps us directly in battle with the strategy that we actually use in the run, because it takes too much energy to go over there and one-turn them. See, 4 AP. We would only be able to get off 1 shot, and actually, today I learned. Okay, so you can one-turn that. with the help of the headband. Now you see why I equip it, because it's just more moving power for you to be able to use these super low AP things a lot. Every single AP is a swing or a shot, so that's 14 potential damage if you don't have to move. Or a certain amount of movement, like, say, 1 movement, 12 damage. 2 movement, 10 damage. It's just really good. For first turning things, especially. Just raising that max when you go into a room is really big. Albeit it comes at the trade-off of health. But early on, we're usually, like, 1 turn clearing things pretty effectively. So, what the usual strat is there is we typically, let me see if I can get that encounter again, because usually you want to encounters will not appear if you were in the adjacent room last movement. So all right, so this is the official strat that I used for my sub 55 run. Is you just end the turn so they walk up quickly, and sometimes they get positioned like this, which is really good. It minimizes movement on your part, and it minimizes kill animation time, which actually is it's probably faster to do it this way. I'd have to time it, but as you can see, you just move up and 1 and 2. It's just that easy. This is why this guy is the melee guy. He walks up and just does his job. It's really effective early on. Minimizes animation time a lot, just because melee is really quick and usually just one animation. Albeit it usually requires a bit more movement. So let's move on. So this is where we get our first big strategy room. So you got a lot of guys here, and you're probably not going to be able to handle them in one turn, which is okay. Our goal is just to get through the room as quick as possible. So the strategy that we've developed here for this is move up here and get the guys that are in close enough range to move to you and attack. And like guys that you are in range to attack, because see, this guy takes 1 to get in range for. We don't want to move closer to these guys that can probably take us down. So once we get those guys out of the way and handled, let's just end the turn. See, he gets close, but he can't attack. Not enough AP. That guy is the only guy that gets close enough to attack, but it's not nearly enough to dole out any serious hurt to any of our guys. And so this is where the first interesting strategy of the run comes in my opinion. These early rooms can be done really fast with this guy. Like, he just walks up, bam, 1 animation there, movement, 1 animation, movement, 1 animation, movement, 1 animation. Super fast clear. I'm pretty sure that is just definitively the quickest way to handle that room. I can't imagine anything else being much quicker than just moving real quick and just handling a lot of things in just 1 animation. And going super hard on that first turn, I think would take a bit too long, and it'd be a little pointless. Now this is, both of these guys, if you end this turn, would be close enough to walk up and get 1 shot off. So here, we actually do this strategy where take out this front guy and just move back. So next turn, we'll just pass it. Albeit there's 5 guys moving, but if you get it done quick enough, it's just 1 guy that you have to handle, and then this backwards movement, so it can be done pretty quick. They move up like this. None of them attack because they were all out of range. They had to move this 1 extra space, which disabled them that 1 shot. And they put you right in perfect range and perfect AP to be able to handle everything. Like, if this guy moves up here, Heavy can just do this. And he can walk over here with 3 AP, and because he didn't do much last turn and he got his AP back, he had a max of 7 to work with, so he can move 3, come up here, and handle all 4 just like that. 1 animation each, and moving up, just consistently. It's so easy and fast. This is a no enemy room, and this is where we get our first elevator encounter if we didn't have one over here, where we move down and we experience a new formation, starting a new starting formation for our team. So here, we're gonna go down here because there's actually a very important item in a room that's right over here. So see how we have this set up. So our CQBs are still at the forefront. Our heavy starts at the top, and our assault starts at the bottom, both in the exact middle of the room. or well, exact like center horizontal area of the room, because horizontal movement is what costs action points. Vertical movement is not important at all, or well, not like not important, but like not detrimental to your AP at all. And that's actually really important later on, because vertical movement gets really case by case, but that'll come when it comes. For now, let's get back to it. So we have our CQBs up front, and we're just, how we handle this room is just we let the CQBs do their thing because they're the closest in, and it's easy for them to handle this stuff. Just move one animation, quickest way to take care of those three. And what this CQB does is he just, because he is close enough to take out this guy just from where he spawns, he starts down here, moves up, and with his 5 points, he'll get one shot on this guy. I click on heavy, and I get one shot on that guy, and he's already where he is. No movement animation on his part necessary. Just super clean, super easy room to do. So it gives you a nice, if you didn't experience it before, that's a forced encounter. So just a nice first experience with how to handle rooms like that. I mean, who knows? Maybe on your first run you get lucky and you don't have that first elevator encounter. Good for you. So as you can see, this is where we're introduced to locks. I don't have any lock skip strategy yet. It would be nice if that was somehow developed. I'm hoping that I can find something that allows me to forgo this, but until then, I've got nothing. So this is a pretty big room here. So this is why we go down here. We get these three super important items. We get, first of all, this is how this menu is done. Sub-weapon. Because he has the most AP, he gets the Beretta, which is just basically a one-shot kill to all of those guys that we were facing before. It ups the damage by 1, which doesn't seem like much, but it means a lot when it comes to saving time with these 3 health enemies. And this is why we have his knife out, because it makes this menu super easy. Sub-weapon, you just open the menu, go to sub-weapon, click on this, go to him. And because his knife that he doesn't get AP off of is a sub-weapon, but he gets AP off of this, you equip this as a sub-weapon, so he still has his pistol as his main weapon, and now this is a sub-weapon. So he has his effective types as his weapons, and he has this super 6 range, and for him, 2 AP to fire. 2 AP, 6 range, 6 damage. That is huge. Especially this early on. It lets us blow through the rest of the entire first key 1 split. And then Heavy gets his armor that he will be wearing for quite a while, because Heavy doesn't get updated gear for a long time, just because he's not useful for a long time, sadly. Sorry, Heavy, but that's just how it is. So he puts on this nice little shirt, gets plus 2 HP as opposed to nothing. That's pretty good. And that's our second menu. Our first being the hat menu. And so we go back here, and that's our first second little detour complete. And it introduced us to locks, which we get increased access to areas. There's one room over here that we can unlock once we get keycard 1, which is actually what our goal is right now. But we do not come back to this room until much later, just because it's off the beaten path and it doesn't give us something that we immediately want. So we just head up this way, getting ever closer to that sweet keycard 1. Now this room is where we start going ham, so to speak. So this is where we start seeing the use of this. So 6 range is pretty big. As you can see, I only have to move 1 range to get in range of this guy and be able to take him out. So we do this, the assault. We take care of those super long range guys. Now, the next thing that we do is we take out this this Beretta. This is important, and we go get into range of this guy back here because we have a ton of AP to work with, and we can take him out almost assuredly. So as you can see, this guy is wearing a little bit of a different getup than our usual little grunts here. He's got these glasses. Yo, let's do the little circling for effect and this little sweet tuxedo bow tie combo thing going on here. And that together makes up 2 armor class, and he gets a bit of bonus health. 2 armor class is 17% chance to dodge, if you remember what I was saying earlier. And so he actually does have a chance to slow down your run a bit and block like that. Wow, what do you know? That was perfectly timed. And this guy has 5 health as opposed to 3. He gets a little +2 bonus from his nice little suit and tie there and his glasses. So yeah, just 2 shots, 6 damage. He goes down. 5 health. That's an important number. Remember that. So just so these guys don't have to move forward. See, he's 1 range away. We take out this guy here, and this guy takes out the front 2, just because he has enough AP to, just straight up. Which makes that room nice and easy, quick clear, and now this is our setup. This is the weapons that our guys have out, and how they are now organized. And so now this is where we start getting a little more risky. So this room here, we take out these guys in 1 shot because this is 6 damage, they have 5 health. Nice. Alright, and then we take out these guys just in 1 shot and move this guy back because we do not... Okay, so both of these guys are going to get a chance to attack, as you see. See, if he was up front, they would have had a chance to double attack him, killing him, but these guys cannot be killed because that would do 9 health to him and 9 health to him, and that's not enough to kill a 10 health or 11 health guy. So we keep him safe for this reason. So he gets 3 AP back. He's now in range. They can shoot each other with their SMGs. That's fine. And this guy walks up, and it's nice and quick. Just walk up real quick and take him out in 2 shots. Whereas with this, it would take 3 shots. Maybe that would save movement time. I'm not sure. I would have to test that. But usually I just walk this guy up because 2 shots. It's good. So this is the first one of the first important locks. This is the elevator snake. This is where it begins, or well, where the new areas begin of the elevator snake, which is our next video that I will be making. And so this is the next big locker. Because Heavy already has armor on, this menu is as simple as going to here, and he's going to use a new pistol because he starts up front and he needs something new. Because he's probably going to just be using this because it's so good. So this is where we start, or keep using our tactics here. So we move forward 1, unlucky, we just go for that guy again because he's further back and tougher to take out. Now this is where things change a little bit. I have to use a backup strategy. Usually I would take out both of those suit guys, but now that I can't, I'm going to take the guy with high energy, take out these 2 guys, and move back here for safety because we're going to do the same thing that we did with the last room that had 2 guys far in the back that we didn't want to waste our time getting to. So bam, we just take him out like that. He walks up. Neither of them can die. They're good, nice and safe. He takes that shot, takes out the guy in the back that walks up and gets in range. And because now he has this and can do it in 2 shots, he does it. So bam. Easy as that. Super intuitive. And then we go into the key room, which is where we end our split. We get a bunch of useless armor and the first key. So, as you can see, it can't open up lock level 2. It introduces you to that nice and intuitively, puts it in the very same room that you get a key card and lets you know, hey, you don't have access to everywhere just because you have 1 key. These will become important later. I'll explain when they do. But that is our split 1. That's how it goes. So now you know the ending setups, the menu techniques, and everything that comes with like just the fundamentals and learning this game and how battling works. If you have any questions, let me know. Maybe I'll make like a FAQ video at the end of all this if I didn't explain anything well enough, or like maybe I'll answer some questions in the description or comments. So that's our key 1 split. I'm gonna be making a video for every split, just explaining the details and how to do them. So this is the area that we covered with our first split. Just this little branch right here. As you can see, we've got so much left to go. This is a pretty surprisingly fleshed out Flash game, for having come out in 2010 in that like Flash game kind of culture time. That was interesting. So yeah, there we go. That's keycard 1. Let me know what you guys think, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next elevator snake guide video. Here we go. 10%. There it is.